Hello, everybody. I'm super excited this morning to be with Elena Brower, and it's also her birthday, so a massive happy birthday to Elena. Hey,
Elena. Thank you so much. So nice to be here with you.
Thanks, Elena. It was a massive highlight for me to hear Elena present at convention, and her presentation and practice really touched me and brought me to tears many times. And then I bumped into her in the bathroom and had a fangirl moment, so that was pretty cool.
Both did. Let's be clear.
Yeah,
like,
so that was
Jessie Reimers, and you were like, "Oh, Elena Brower." It was really good.
Yeah, so awesome.
It was really good. You're big here. You're a big name here in my house.
Oh, thanks, Elena. That means a lot.
That's true.
So I'd love to share with our audience why you're so passionate about mindfulness and yoga, and what really got you on that path.
I was in my early 20s when I went to my first yoga class. What was different about it for me was probably the same as most of you listening, where I was suddenly in a room where I was being supported rather than chastised for how I was moving. I was used to ballet. And in ballet, it's like, no, do it this way, that way. And it was always a wrong rather than always a right. And I fell in love with yoga right then. I didn't start teaching until about 5 years later, in the late 90s, 97, 8 or so, 20 years. And I just found a great facility for it. I loved it. I've been trained. I worked in the fashion industry for several years. I was an art teacher to kids. But the yoga was really where I belonged in terms of where to put my voice for a long time, for almost 20 years.
Mm-hmm. And why are you so passionate about the mindfulness side of things?
Well, the truth is, if we're not watching context for witnessing ourselves, we can't hope to change behaviors that are not serving us. So for me, the yoga practice is a little more than the yoga practice. It's really about how does it take me into meditation. The meditation is where I get to observe my thoughts, my behaviors, my habits, my tendencies, is to take the first step toward changing the ones that don't belong here. And so I need the whole trajectory, from the asana practice, which is the postures, all the way to the sitting still for a few minutes every morning with myself and seeing what really is happening in here.
Yeah, I found your practice at convention really, really gentle and beautiful. I've been to some yoga sessions where it's really like intense and pushing and full on, and I just found yours, really calming and gentle, and like I could actually do it, rather than, I guess, some of the sessions I've been to, it's like ballet, and I felt like I wasn't matching up. So that was me. So what kind of yoga do you recommend? You mentioned asana.
Well, it depends on the person. I don't like to make sweeping generalizations, because one person has fibromyalgia, and one person has trauma, and one person has arthritis, one person has, it depends on what we're dealing with. So some people really do thrive with hot yoga, or, a group class where there's pretty fast movement. Some people really need kind of what we were working on at convention, where we were moving really slowly, we were stretching, we were feeling, we were thinking, observing, being very careful and mindful. That, for most of us at this particular juncture in the world, can use more of that. Rigid, move, do this, do that, do this, do that. That doesn't serve so many of us anymore, I feel. Yeah,
I love it. So, Elena, can you tell us about beautiful yoga oils and how that really came into being?
Initially I thought I was going to be a silent behind this little collection here, and I was asked to deliver one for grounding, one for centering, and one for upliftment. And could I send a few options? I met with marketing, and they knew that I loved to make my own blends, and so they asked. So I started making lists and, formulating in my closet, making a whole bunch of different blends based on things that I've loved in the past. based on what I love about balance, but with a little kick to it. Align on a few different blends. There was that one was, it's really its own animal, I have to say. It came about because I wanted to have something that would actually help the muscles and help the brain. Mm-hmm. And then Arize happened. I wanted Arize to be an evolution of elevation. Say that 5 times fast. And when I put it together, when I put them all together, they have changed quite a bit. I put the first iterations together, and things shifted. You know, when they got to the offices and the team worked on them, they added things that made the blends a little more savory rather than sweet. I would go, you know, more like, oh yes, immediately, I love this thing. With Anchor and Align, they added more of the, for example, the marjoram, the basil, the black pepper, the things that I had in there, but I wouldn't have added quite as much. And then when I got them back, we went back and forth several times. When I got them back the final time, I've done this quite this way myself with the ingredients that I selected, but yes, this is exactly right. And when we finally settled, it was a done deal. They surprised me with the glittery labels. I loved it. But what I did do is actually make, I have the little swatches right there, watercolor swatches of purple, green, and like gold. A little bit orange, which is awesome. But those were the colors that I thought would be most efficient for this collection. And they really, they stuck with me in so many ways. I was so surprised. Then just a few months before convention, maybe 2 or 3 months, oh, hey, actually, we're going to have you present at convention. And I was like, what? And I'm coming in hot like that? And they said, yes, we'd love for you to present. And I got really nervous for a few days. And then I realized, oh, yes, this is fine. This is exactly what I'm here to do. I'm here to bring the oils together with the yoga. And this is exactly what I'm here to do. And I started to formulate my talk, and it just rolled out of me. No problem whatsoever. And when I finally got there to the stage to talk about it, the most natural thing in the world, it was exactly where I needed to be, and more really honored to share it all.
Yeah, it was such a beautiful presentation, Elena. I remember standing up the front and, you know, had Tara Bliss and Vanessa and friends either side, and that connection with the community when we're all holding out our arms and yeah, connecting was just such a powerful, beautiful moment for the whole room. You know, thousands upon thousands of people connecting and being one with each other. Yeah. I was so excited to receive these blends because they're in this beautiful box. I don't know if you can see the front, but there's like beautiful gold writing. You can see it.
Yeah, there you go.
Opening it up and the black and gold writing, and it says the body achieves what the mind believes. And then orange apple is the black. I'm so proud of that whole situation. It's can't amazing. Tell you. They did a beautiful job. You know, when I got up there and I said the first thing I wanted to do, at least in the first group anyway, was to thank you know, the team for the help, and they really just slayed it, I have to say. Yeah, it sounds like it was a really beautiful and respectful collaboration. So I love that. And
easiest thing.
Arize this morning.
Oh, good. Yeah, I'll put some on too.
I put a couple of drops in my hand and just breathe that in and take a few moments to connect with that. So Arize, this one is the blend of lemon, grapefruit, Siberian Fir, osmanthus, and melissa. So take us in a little deeper on Arize and how that can support us.
Well, the Arize is really, the way that I see it, I use it actually pre-meditation, interestingly. A lot of people love to use it in the middle of a yoga practice, especially when you're doing like, you know, big stretching standing poses. Feel, especially with the melissa in there, that was one thing that I kind of insisted on, that I wanted melissa in the uplifting one, and I wanted rose and jasmine in the align one. And when it immediately takes me, boom, right in there. And I have to wait. I have to sit still for a little while. I use that one for meditation.
Hmm. I'm really using this one to, I guess, like have clarity and move towards the vision that I'm creating as well. Yeah. So
Yes, yes.
if I'm
Yes, and also keep in mind too, the grapefruit and the lemon is all focus. As those of you who look at the emotional qualities of the essential oils, you know it's all focus, honoring the body. And so this particular blend is definitely super uplifting, as doTERRA calls it, enlightening. And yeah, I think it's great for work also, and it's great for meditation, great for any sort of creative.
Yeah, so when I was doing an immersion day the other day, we did a EFT round in my home with some of my leaders, and we all anchored that in by taking a drop of the Arize and breathing that in. But I also started the day with that blend to, you know, create and hold space for that immersion day. So I'm really in love with Arize. I absolutely adore it. So moving on to Align, this is the one. This is like a serious blend. It's got a lot of oils in it. So, and they're all diluted with the fractionated coconut oil. But this is bergamot, coriander, marjoram, peppermint, geranium, basil, and my favorite queens, rose and jasmine. And I know you mentioned that you really wanted to have those two stunning oils in there. And it's amazing that we have those available in the touch now as well. So tell us some more about Align Centering Blend and how that can support and where that takes us.
This one is green for the heart. You know, that's the color of the heart chakra. Starts with bergamot because I've been obsessed with bergamot. I've been using it. I've been studying a little bit of acupoint therapy, and the bergamot on the ear shen men point is a complete state change. Even just smelling bergamot for me is a state change. And the reason why I chose that as the main note is because a lot of my favorite blends start with that. After the bergamot, you have your gosh, I mean, yeah, your coriander, your peppermint, both of those are really, for me, all about working, keeping myself alert, and keeping myself kind of awake, let's say. Aligned is a good way to put it. In yoga classes, we've been using it during the sort of more standing parts of the classes, the warrior 2, the warrior 1, right before you kind of get into the real active vinyasa part of the class and standing postures. It's very efficient. For me at my desk, this is the one I go to where I used to use Intune. Of course, but this I think replaces Intune in a really fun way. And it makes me sharp. You know, it makes my brain really sharp.
Yeah.
More so, the fun part was the marjoram in here, which I didn't initially have so much of. And when we added a lot more of it, it got almost too much. The right proportions for the marjoram. And I happen to think that it's so important that it's in here because of the uses in the body for the muscles. I happen to also use this when I'm sore, working out with a trainer, which is super fun and cute. And I'm working on building the strength in my shoulder blades. And so the first thing that happens is my shoulders and my upper arms get sore. And I've just been putting, since it's diluted anyway, I've been putting the Align on the muscles because of the marjoram. And I'd never tried it before. Immediate relief. It's like deep blue for me in that way, but a more pleasant smell. I don't mind the smell of deep blue, but I like this a little better.
Yeah, it would be like a more gentle, and with the peppermint and basil as well. I mean, basil is incredible for that adrenal and natural energy support without the stimulants. Geranium,
yes, exactly.
Love and rust. And rose is the highest oil on the planet. So you've got a very powerful blend for supporting physically and emotionally and spiritually there. It's amazing.
Yeah, and it's not the immediate favorite. You know, Arize, everybody loves Arize. Align, not everybody loves Align, but everybody comes to love Align when you start to feel the effects of the blend.
Yeah, I'm already growing. Smelling it again this morning. I mean, I smelled it a few times, and then Yeah, that was like geranium for me as well. I really was just kind of not a fan of geranium, and then the more I used it, it's one of my most favorite
Same.
smelling oils, whereas in the beginning I really struggled with that. And I think it is because it's the oil of love and trust, and it was developing a relationship with love and trust over time. So that's interesting. And then we have
yeah,
purple one, the steadying blend, and that is again diluted
yes.
coconut oil, lavender, cedarwood, frankincense, cinnamon, sandalwood, black pepper, and patchouli. So tell us about Anchor.
This is a big one. This is the one that I really, this is where it all began, actually. And when I called out the patchouli, I thought, this is something I've never done before. I've never used patchouli in any of my blends that I make for myself. I got in there, everything fell into place. It was so fascinating. And it was only a very little bit. As you know, obviously, lavender, obviously. Cedarwood, oil of community, frankincense, oil of truth was a sticking point for a while. The cinnamon is the oil of sexual harmony, actually. In there because for me, the cinnamon lately has been very efficient for curbing sweet cravings. I diffuse it, especially with a little lemongrass or a little lemon. And I wanted cinnamon in there because it keeps me on my path. I don't know how to explain it. It keeps me out of all the craving that I used to have and just on mission. And now that I know that you understand this. This is a funny thing to say, but now that I have a bigger team, I need to be very awake to how I'm spending my time. And I can't just dilly-dally for an hour on some, nonsense reorganizing project. I really have to stay focused and address one call at a time, one person at a time, one team at a time. It's really important that I keep my life together, keep my brain together. For some reason, this anchor, as even though the Elena is meant to be centering, the anchor is what keeps it together for me when just going off and doing my own thing or doing something else. It's all about this blend for me. And I can't really explain it any other way than that, other than myself. This is my jam. Where it used to be balanced, this is now it. I love it. I can't get it. And I've been diffusing it for 2 days since I was just teaching the first module of Practice You, where we used Anchor as the first sort of topic, let's say. And oh God, it's just so good. The cinnamon, it feels like it smells like a piece of the finest, like baked pastry, and also a whole host of other things. I don't know how to explain it. I'm not being very articulate right now.
Of black pepper and cinnamon in this blend, but it's not overpowering. It like comes through very gently, and I just think all of the very, very well blended and well mixed to end up with an incredible blend. And black pepper, is that the oil of unmasking? I'm not very good at remembering everything. Emotional.
You just remembered. You just did. Black pepper is the one that we use a lot for addictions, especially. Also, not just the physical addiction. It's really good for nicotine. Emotional. The oil of unmasking, as you said, it's like how do I just take off all of these things that I think I'm supposed to be and just be who I am? Finally, about. And what's interesting is, just as a little backstage story, we couldn't quite get it right. At first we had cassia to sort of keep the cost down. And then we realized that we really need the real cinnamon and in there. And then the cinnamon was too overpowering, which is when the black pepper got upped and it came in to balance the cinnamon out. So those of you that are listening, when you're doing your own blends, play with really unexpected oils, because you never know what's going to provide the counterpoint to things. In a line, it was the basil that provided the counterpoint to the marjoram. In the Anchor, it was the black pepper that provided the counterpoint to the cinnamon. The messages have a great time when you're making your own blends too, because you never know what you're going to be able to find. And in Arize, similarly, the Siberian Fir, that in a million years. No, but it perfectly balanced all the citrus and gave this blend the depth you know, that it has, because it is such a happy and elevating thing, but it's also, it has grounding to it. I think why I love it for meditation also.
And Anchor has the sandalwood and frankincense, which is also very grounding for connecting to source and truth.
Exactly. I'm just going to go over here to my other desk because I want to look up what we talked about, Siberian fir. And I don't want to forget to say this because I wrote down some great notes about it. Those of you who liked the white fir, Siberian fir, it has a little bit more penetrating depth. It's made from the twigs and branches. You haven't learned this yet. The white fir, they were having trouble sourcing it responsibly from their original source. So this is why we love doTERRA, is that they don't compromise quality. And they went ahead and found another resource for the Siberian fir, and they found something incredible that they love, a grower with whom they can really work and trust. Siberian fir has more prominent chemistry, according to Dr. Hill. The potency is key. The only difference is the limonene. It's more potent in citrus oils, and that's kind of what gives it a very, how should we say, it's a very therapeutic oil, the Siberian fir. Harmonizing, calming, and soothing for the central nervous system. Great topically also for skin irritations. Aromatically soothes dry airways. This is all from Dr. Hill from the convention. Systems internally, I see wouldn't use Arize internally. It's already diluted and it has so many other things in it. But Siberian fir on its own, I thought I just fell in love with this oil when he started talking about it. Now I really like it, and I diffuse with it a lot. A lot. And what I've started to do, Jessie, also is take all the constituent oils from each one of these blends and diffuse, you know, the neat oils. Rather than diffusing the yoga collection, I save those to use like a little bit on my body, or, you know, aromatically this way. And so when I want the smells, I take all the oils out and I diffuse like 1 drop of this, 2 drops of this, and then I get to see, oh, in the blend, the bergamot is more, okay, and the rose and jasmine obviously are less. And you can start to play and learn how to blend for yourself if that's not something that you often do.
Yeah, wow, that's a really great idea. Awesome. Don't mix these because they're diluted as well in the little bottles, so play with the liquid.
Exactly.
And so, Elena, tell us about your Practice You journal, which is currently in the post on its way to me, and I'm excited to receive that. Yeah.
So glad. So Practice You was born right here. Space where I am. It's my yoga space and my reading space and my workspace. It was all summer last summer, about a month and a half after my mom died. My publisher called and he said he's seen me do all my watercolors, and I just mess around. I don't really do that with, you know, I don't really do that seriously, the painting, or hadn't before. And he said, I've seen you do all your watercolor work. I really love your style, and I am feeling like you should be doing a journal. I don't know exactly what it's going to look like, but that's my feeling. And I started to look around the room, and my vision board for 2016 had the word practice and the word you in very close proximity to one another. And I looked at it and I was like, Practice You is a pretty good title. It was like 2 days after the publisher called. And I looked over at the thing and I saw it. I immediately went online and looked up practiceyou.com, and it was available. That can't be true. It's so genius. I started to, maybe 2 weeks later, after the publisher informed me that I was the only one who was allowed to paint. I was not to hire an illustrator like I wanted. I was not allowed to hire anyone else to help me with it. It was just going to be my project, or the deal was off. Man. I started painting 2 weeks later, very reluctantly, I want to say. I was afraid, and this is a message to you if you are holding yourself back from being the artist that you are. Holding yourself back, please just sink in, buy yourself some nice materials and go. I bought a bunch of watercolors. I I sat down here from 5 to 7 every morning, and I just painted. And I made all these fields of color, and every day at the end of the day, I would have made like 4, maybe 5 or 6. And of those, 3 were absolutely awesome. 3 were very questionable. And I would take the awesome ones and I would go through my bookshelf, which is right here. Oh, you can see it already. I would go through my bookshelf, and I have I'm pretty good at just keeping the books that I know I'm going to look at again. Every time one comes in, one goes out. The books that called me for that one field of color, and I would see what needed to be said, basically. Some of it came from me sitting and meditating and listening and looking at the field of color, and some of it came from, you know, my favorite books or my favorite authors, derived from, quoted from. And the book was born to help me through that time, what it was there for. And then what I came to realize as my publisher and I worked on it, my editor and I worked on it, was that it's going to help a lot of different people at a lot of different ages. And now it's coming true. A lot of kids are using it. A lot of teachers of children are emailing saying, hey, can we get a case? Can we get 2 cases? And I'm obviously hooking them up with the wholesale, and we're figuring out ways, if it's a school where they really cannot afford I find ways and people to donate money so that we can do it, or I do it myself. It's been a real privilege to share it with the children. And now it's going into college. I have a dear friend who's bringing it into her college room, her college. She's a professor of poetry, and she's bringing it into her class. And now I just heard from Ruth Goff. She blew her presidential. I forgot. I think she's presidential.
She presented at convention. And that,
yes, exactly.
Would just like blew my mind and cracked my heart open. And just, I love both of you. So that's pretty cool.
She's using Practice You to teach oils classes with yoga.
Wow. Love it.
Is like the best thing I ever heard. So now my team and I are going to devise either a tear sheet or some kind of PDF that's very concise, that combines pages of Practice You with the yoga collection oils, postures, so that everyone can take from that presentation what they love and what they don't love, they can leave behind. But at least they'll have a gentle outline that they can use for their teaching, whether it's a yoga class or a meditation class or a writing class or an oils class.
I'm super excited for that. That'll be amazing. Can't wait for you to release that one.
Yeah.
Your bookshelf color.
It's going to be shared with everybody. Oh yeah, it's color coordinated.
I love that. It's amazing.
I want to come over and do yours right this second.
Yeah, mine is very clearly not color coordinated, and I don't yet.
Literally 4 minutes, you'll do it. Just do the whites on the big shelf, do the yellows on the second shelf, do the reds on the bottom shelf for the most part, and then where the reds are too tall, you can turn the long red ones on their backs. You know what I mean? You'll see. You're going to be so psyched. It's so pleasing for the eyes.
It is.
You do. You know? Yeah. It's so funny. I have to say, I just want to say on behalf of my team and me, we've spent a long time watching a lot of your videos and learning a great deal. When I was pretty new to the business, even though I had grown quite a bit, I was still pretty fresh. And your candor, your honesty, your willingness to just get in there and talk about everything that needed to be talked about was a revolution for my team. In no uncertain terms, you have helped all of us to achieve what we've achieved so far, and will continue going forward in time, helping us, which is why I had also the major fangirl moment in that loo. And I want to say thank you.
Thank you, Elena. That means a lot to me. It's interesting when we put stuff out there and we have, we know that we impact some people, but we have no idea like the real impact of that. So to hear that from someone like you and you're a Blue Diamond team and that supported, you know, and helped you guys along the way, that's pretty awesome, even to be a very, very small part of that. So yeah, it feels good that when you put stuff out there that it does make an impact. You know, when I started my YouTube channel, I'd get maybe 10 views on it, and then 30, and then over time, I think people have come to kind of watch. And yeah, I like just being honest, brutally honest about the fact that we have to get in and do the work. But how worth it is that when you look back at the reward and you're like, that was hard getting there, getting to diamond, getting to blue, getting to presidential. That was hard.
Yep.
But it should have been harder for the reward that we're receiving, for the impact that we're making, for the abundance that we're creating, for the community and lives that we're changing. It's pretty awesome.
Yes, I have said that to myself many times. How lucky. That really all we do is empower other people. We teach them. We help them understand that and you know, this is one thing that you've taught me that I want to really highlight. I keep myself from teaching about these oils when I'm nervous about what somebody might think. Oils need to be in everyone's home to help everyone understand what kind of power they actually do have over their own wellness. Who am I to deny a family that because I'm nervous about what they might think of me selling something? And there's something about what you say, and not those exact words, but that has, in no uncertain terms, taught me that.
Yeah, what I say is when you don't share because you're in fear, you're taking away other people's opportunities to experience not only the oils in their life, which are life-changing and provide physical, emotional, and spiritual support, but you're also taking away people's opportunities to be in a community where they may have never experienced love and encouragement and support and connection and safety and security. And, you know, like I hadn't had an experience like I have in doTERRA with being loved and, you know, having safe space and being respected for exactly who I am, not who people have wanted me to be in the past and tried to put me into a little box, a safe little box, because I'm, you know, intense and different and interesting. And I tell people you're being selfish and basically you suck if you're not sharing because people need these oils. And, you know, some people will say no, but imagine if the person that shared with me hadn't done that. You know, I swear. Be on welfare. I would still be having severe panic attacks. I would still think the world is an unsafe, loveless, evil place. I would still have so much self-hate. And I wouldn't have made the impact on thousands of lives globally. So, you know, and after I enrolled in doTERRA, I had dozens of people contacting me saying, oh, Jessie, I wanted to share with you, but I was afraid that you would think that, you know, I was a loser or whatever, and you had no interest in essential oils. And the fact is I did have no interest in essential oils. Like, I thought they were smelly hippie rubbish that you put in an oil burner, and I don't even like smells anyway because I'm very sensitive to that. And it wasn't until I had the experience of using the essential oils and them supporting me physically and emotionally, I didn't understand that they had therapeutic value. I literally thought they were a smell. And how can a smell have any impact on our emotional state? I didn't get it until I experienced it. And I started to understand the science and research of, you know, a smell entering the olfactory system and the effect on the limbic system, and smell is a faster track down memory lane and all of those things. So, you know, too bad to the people that could have enrolled me and missed out on the world's youngest presidential diamond being on their front line because they were in fear. So,
yeah, that's well said. Very well said. And additionally, all of your work on your placements video has also helped a lot of us too, to discern the difference between placing people for power of 3 only, placing them down for you know, a nice, sustainable, solid team. That's also been a great discussion in our team and has helped a lot of us too. So yeah, thank you for that.
That is a controversial video, but what I want people to understand is that I'm not saying no to power of 3. Like I now have my 1500 power of 3, but it's about not just jamming, you know, 10 people in your front line, because the immediate, there's not just going to be straight away 3 people on 100, 150 PV LRP forever. And when you just put those first people in your front line, you know, is it your mum, sister, and neighbor who never want to build a doTERRA business, and then you end up building them to silver or gold.
Having to pay their LRPs.
Yeah. And you end up with massive resentment. Whereas when you know, build from rank and start building a leg down, and then you can run with the runners, and, you know, putting people on your front line or close to your front line that may have an interest in building, but not worrying if that top, like, front line doesn't end up wanting to build, because maybe that second, third, or fourth person does, and you can run with the runners. So, and then you can fill in power later and build width and stability later. But for me, I'd rather that, you know, $70,000+ presidential check a month power of 3, which to me can split communities. Like when you're just building 10 and 10 and 10, you're splitting people and it dissipates the energy. Whereas when you're building in a line, if this person wakes up and they start building, that energy and excitement will flow up, and other people will see, wow, that, you know, I've got volume in my team, maybe I should start a second work. I just find that energy and momentum picks up more quickly, and it creates community engagement, activity, excitement, and yeah. So that's my little placements rant for this morning.
I love your placements rant, and it's really helped me. I mean, it gave me, at a very certain time when I actually barely understood it, it led me to make some choices that have now blossomed.
Good.
People way down in my tree who are rank advancing really fast that now count for me better than somebody higher up than them. It's just, I mean, the chess game continues, basically.
Yeah, experience. So the original silver leaders some of them aren't the same people that are my qualifying legs for presidential, because I had some people on, you know, my third level just go and overtake those people higher up.
Yep.
And because I wasn't concerned with power 3, I chose to run with the runners and, you know, place a little bit further in depth instead of continuing to build.
Really smart. Just really smart. That was a big deal for us.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And is there anything else that you want to bring through? So I know Practice You journal, you can get that from Sounds True. It's also available Amazon.
Yeah, you'll find it on Amazon now. They're reprinting again. We sold almost 20,000 copies in the first few weeks, which is wow, because of all the people that are getting it for groups. Now people are using it in trainings and you know, yoga teacher trainings and otherwise. So it's really exciting. You can also get it from Sounds True, as you said. And then in Australia, if you're there, the book depository should have it. People have gotten it via that route as well.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Elena. It's been beautiful spending time with you. Thank you for taking time on your birthday. And how old are you again?
I'm 47. You
are amazing. You look absolutely stunning.
I'm so excited. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. It's so good to be here. And actually, everyone is not coming for another like half an hour, so we're so fine on time. And I'm just so grateful to get to chat with you and see you. And I know my team is really excited to have you so close. And anytime you want to do this again, I'm super down.
Yeah, so if you want to have me on a webinar, like interviewing me, I don't know, on business strategy, on my jam.
I think that's great. Yes.
That. And I know you're in Brisbane next year, which is my hometown.
Great.
So I'm super excited about that. And yeah, we'll have to hang out. I'm coming to your event, so can't wait.
Amazing. I love that. I'll email you soon and we can sort it out, because our team calls are actually in the early morning New York time. So we can make it just a little bit earlier, and then you can jump on in the evening. Early morning our time, so you can jump on in the evening your time, which is cool.
Right, and we'll make that public for everyone as always, so everyone can benefit.
I think that's true. Yeah, definitely true. All right, cool. Thank you.
Have a beautiful evening.
You're welcome.
Bye.
And we'll see each other soon. Lots of love.